Welcome back. We're back with question and answer session with SpaceTomato and Execute. If you missed our last episode, we talked about the predictions for CitizenCon for this year. We talked about the panels. We talked about the
I think he's having a senior moment. Did you see the lag?
Oh, he's just nervous.
I had did you not hear the phone go off?
Oh, okay, my bad. No, I didn't hear it.
The phone went off. It was scam called me, so I was just like, oh.
Right.
Did they want to call in? Do they want to join us? Or?
They want to call? You know, you are a fellow
Star Citizen
scam
discussion.
Yeah, a fellow scam artist. So you should probably tell us what Scam Citizen's about.
The insurance on your Mustang has expired.
All right. Well, but right now we're going to be talking about question and answers, taking questions from the chat that we're going to answer. But as always, make sure you're following Execute at youtube.com/theinforunners and SpaceTomato with SpaceTomato, youtube.com/SpaceTomato and youtube.com/SpaceTomato2. Which
not that kind of two.
Two. It's SpaceTomato as well. SpaceTomato and SpaceTomato as well, because it's 200, right? 2200.
Yeah,
TOO. Yeah. All right, let's get started with the first question. Anno2122 asks, how do you feel about the amount of quality of the Inside Star Citizen and Star Citizen Live at the moment? Better or worse than last year?
You take this before I rant.
Trying to think of specifics. I think that they've been kind of taking it easy. It's hard to criticize the show because you really just don't know what's going on behind the scenes that's available for them to show every month. But it feels like they're taking it a little bit easy, especially considering how much stuff we know is like being worked on. Like hacking, we know for sure is being worked on. Resource management, obviously being saved for CitizenCon. And other things like that have definitely been absent from ISC this year. And it doesn't help that we already get how many weeks off every year? 12?
5 months. Works out to be 5 months.
Ooh, yeah,
it's like 3 weeks every session. So it's about 5 months.
And I think ISC is probably the most casual way that people should be able to keep up with the development. And sometimes it feels like they don't do a good job of making that what the show is about.
Yeah, I think that kind of comes back to communication. I think that there are certain, you do want to highlight certain things. So there are certain episodes they do that no one gives a crap about, or at least it feels that way. But, there are little surprises. Like I'll even be honest, this week when I heard about the localization, I was like, oh crap, this is going to be terrible. And then it started playing, and just like Paul went, because I also watched Paul watch it after I did it, and it was exactly the same thing. I was like, yeah, this is actually really important. And I just never, I hadn't thought about it since I'd been a developer. So it had been so long that I was like, yeah, this is hyper important. And then I started thinking about, like, I remember Paul mentioned that there are people translating his videos. Actually, the same thing happens to the Inforunners. We actually have a guy that's doing it into Korean and another guy that's doing it into Chinese. So it is really important. There is a massive community out there that just don't speak English, and it is pivotally important for the growth of the game. And long story short, I do think these things do need their time in the sun. It's just that when there's 5 months off, if there was no time off, I'd have no problem with stuff like that. But when you are we're at a premium and we are paying millions of dollars in subscription. Like I think what was the last time I looked at, it was like 3.5 million. I'm sure someone in the chat will correct me on that. We are not getting 3.5 million worth of content.
No. But I mean, subscriptions also pays for the concept. And this you're showing your age there, X. That the concept of subscription being there to pay for ISC is so outmoded, because it is no longer really that concept. The subscription is there for you to help pay for development, and you get a nice little like bonus with like a suit or weapon.
Did they actually change that? Is it no longer supposed to be just based on like the marketing or not marketing, but like the community stuff?
I don't know if they've changed that. It may not be in there, and I'm sure it still does go to pay for those salaries and stuff like that. But I'm pretty certain that like CIG, like no one treats it like that. Like I've not heard someone complain about we pay for ISC, we demand with our subscriptions, and I don't like I don't like ISC this week, so I'm going to cancel my subscriptions. I haven't heard that ye olde picket march for
that
years.
Was huge. That was so like back when it was still around the verse. Yeah. People were like, you better improve this, or I'm gonna.
Yeah. I'm just reading what people are saying in chat. Yeah, I really think for the money that Disco and all that are giving, why isn't Disco walking around in a gold suit and bling bling and a gold throne and all that stuff? But the other thing I want to talk about is the second part of ISC last week, when they talked about what type of miscommunication happened where the stuff on Siege of Origin comes out after the event is over. And who made that decision to put it out anyway? Like, that's almost embarrassing at that point. Why didn't that come out beforehand? And why was it pushed out anyway? Like, in a regular news segment, I know what it is, Paul. You don't have to tell me. You know I know what happened. I'm just putting the question out there so other people start bloody asking the question.
Yeah. I was gonna say, do you want the answer, or do you want the real answer? Because I can tell you the answer.
I know both. I know both.
Answers. Yes.
and you know as well.
Yes.
But the point I'm trying to make is I'm putting it out there in chat, so chat start going. Think.
What happens when you have something that is literally coming out a week after it was finished, and then you're not going to see it again for months? Siege of Orison is not going to come back for months, and by then they probably have already overhauled it again for the next time it comes through.
So I didn't watch ISC yet. Did they just do like a review of how the event's been going?
Ironically, ISC was it was titled about localizations, and pretty much people, like, when I saw what it was about, I was like, okay, so people are going to complain about the localization, and then they're going to say, but at least the last part was good. It's the flipped. The localization is a lot more fascinating for people who are interested in game development. If you want to see how the sausage is made, and highlighting people who really do a lot of work for very little pay and very little, like, they're basically professional translators who are trying to translate not just what people are saying, but idioms and little cultural references so that other cultures can understand it. It's less of a translation and more of a full blown it's less of a localization full-blown and more of a full-blown transition, like a remake almost, is what they're trying to do with the audio.
And they actually go into some of those little things that might trick them up and stuff as well. So they give some good examples.
But then the Siege of Orison content was just Luke and I forgot his name, who were helping to overhaul Siege of Orison. It was just all the stuff they were going to update with Siege of Orison, which they brought into the last Siege of Orison, which ended last week. And it was,
so it should have been.
I didn't get to play it.
Like,
it's about the same.
Yeah.
They fixed the issue with like the griefers by adding more security at the first stop point, and they've added a couple of other little things to help improve, like lieutenants no longer fall through the planet as much, and
good for them.
Yeah, those sorts of things, and it's nice, but it was one of those things where, why didn't we get this 2 weeks ago? Why did we get it now when it's just an overview of stuff that they did that we already saw? And again, and I'm and before anyone gets up about it, I can tell you why it happened, and I'll tell you why the real reason why it happened was because they wanted to show off everything that happened. They had those people available, and they were going to get that done. And sometimes maybe they planned on having it a week or two before, but something happened, and they didn't get the footage properly, so it just did not line up with the expectations. The real reason why it happened, because someone canceled. They had a completely different segment, and they canceled it at the last minute and didn't tell anybody in the team.
You've just created a Star Citizen expectation versus reality meme. I can see it now. Anyway.
Yeah. That's what it is. CIG, like there seems to be.
It's Disco Lando expectations, but he's all his hair's cut off and he's all trimmed, and then reality is like the Bushman.
the Bushman Lando.
with the volleyball from that episode when he was animated during COVID.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm sure someone can make that, but anyway.
But yeah, a lot of stuff is going on right now. A lot of devs are probably gonna need to get called off last minute to get some of this crazy stuff done that they're doing. You know, going back to the ISC quality thing, I will say this. They've, ever since, I think it was probably mid last year, you could tell that their people who were getting footage got eye trackers and started to get much better B-roll. Yeah. And this year they just took off with it. So in terms of like the cinematography and the sort of like set pieces and stuff that they do to actually show this stuff off in ISCs, it is so much better than it used to be.
Do you know what, in a really, you tell me if this is a really bad idea, right? I'm just going to chuck it out there, right? You know how we do the polling on ships and stuff like that? What I'd actually like to see, and if they could do this a month or 3 months in advance, they put up a poll going, would you like to see this, this, or this? And the community votes on it. And that's what they bring to us. That would be really cool.
Well, I know it takes some time. Like for context for people to know, it can take anywhere between 1 to 2 weeks for ISCs to be made. To put into context, something that SpaceTomato does, SpaceTomato is a lot better than I am at most of these things. How long does it take for you to produce a nicely slick update on, say, 500 million or expectations for 4.0, like the most recent one you did? How long, like what was going on in Pyro? How long did it take you to go from concept, from just writing it to the footage, to collecting footage, to editing it, to having it uploaded and ready for YouTube?
2 minutes. He free balls it.
Just get up in the morning and whip it out over some bacon and eggs. Now it's like 20, 30 hours probably.
And and no one's working 20, 30 hours straight. You're gonna stretch that out over the course of a week or so.
I usually start a video on I started writing next week's video that's coming out in a week from now. I started writing at the beginning of this week. So it's usually like 16-day turnaround. So 14-day turnaround.
My shorter videos are I've gotten good enough that I can turn it around in a day, but I got to start writing, recording, and editing the brand spank in the morning for a lore video. And that's with me already knowing the content. If I have to do any sort of research, it's 10 to 20 hours to do a full, from research to writing to finding the clips and everything to release. And mine's a lot more simpler than, say, Tomato. Then if you look at ISC, they've got to get footage from in-game. They have to get someone to set up scenes so they can do that footage. They have to find the developers. They have to sit them, chase down the cats, grab them, put them in the seat, have them stare at a camera, not at their shoes, and talk. And then they probably have to take multiple takes to get all that stuff done. Then they have to, Jared has to write and record and edit his own lines. And then they have to, once they get to that whole thing, they have to put everything together, edit all of these pieces together, find the right music to match it up with everything, plus the exit, like animations and everything. It's got to be 24 to 40 hours to do one ISC. And that's 10 minutes.
I did talk to Morph once about how long it took him to do his videos, and he said he does it all in a day, but it's like go to woe, like the whole day.
Good Lord.
I've done that before. I did that today for the episode that came out, Lore Citizen, that came out for today. But like not Lore Citizen, Lore episode. I woke up at 10, or I started working at 10, and like I literally uploaded it the moment I started streaming. So it was like 10 to 3, like my time. Just about. So
this is why I don't like that. Edit videos. I just do everything raw because it's
I would say it could probably shorten my cycle to like 5-6 days maybe. The problem is just that there's all these other things like going on, streams, podcasts, all that kind of stuff. But definitely I want to be at a point where I'm doing a video like that, like maybe not in a day, but like 2 days, 3 days. That sounds much better.
You've also got two of you though doing that too, so that's another thing to point out. It's not just you. You've actually got like a mini team doing it too. So
this is Tomato.
Do you know? Actually, I think you need to call her Space Honey. I think that sounds cooler, actually. But
yeah.
Well, she's probably not gonna put her name all over the place.
Yeah.
I've been telling you guys for ages. You need to start doing dual streams. That'd be really popular.
Oh, we are
husband and wife space.
We are. I tested the overlay today.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, with your sister, right? Because your sister was
Yep.
was there. Yeah. But let's go move on to the next question. But I think my overall answer for that whole thing was basically, I think we're at about the same quality, if not better than we used to be. It's just there's a lot of things that have been moving around. We're just getting a lot of developers who just won't show up for videos because they've got other things they got to worry about.
Can I ask quick questions? How many times? So you know how Disco had the vest on and he was inside the building. It felt to me like he recorded like 4 episodes in one go in that building. Like it
Probably.
didn't see the background didn't really seem to change. So I almost wonder if he's been doing them a little bit in bulk. Like you said, it does take a couple of weeks. So if he can knock a few out in one go, well, that's how I'd be doing it, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't blame him, but I'm just, you know.
The problem about doing that is that then you have one developer who really needs to work on server meshing, and they're gone for that day, and you just got to delay that entire episode, and that whole footage is just thrown out the window. So, yeah, it's a lot more complicated than people realize. So whenever I hear someone complain about they wanted the hour-long ISCs, it's like, no, you don't. You don't want the hour-long ISCs.
Those were really cool as studio updates, but there's too much going on in the studio now to do that.
Yeah, it just wouldn't
I'd rather two 10-minute episodes than like one hour long one.
Yeah.
If you're going to look at it in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And we often get more information out of Star Citizen Live than we get about ISC.
True.
So, and I actually prefer Star Citizen Live more often than ISC, just because it's nice and relaxed and a little bit more.
Yeah, it depends who's on as well, like, and what they're talking about. Some of them are just a little bit like they're just hanging out and chilling and talking, and then there are other ones where they are, full of nuggets of information. So, yeah.
And Emberwick's chances are there was the green screen because considering the noise of construction sites. No, they actually have a lot of those construction ones. They literally show you could afterwards. He was like, this is just the noise you're gonna have to deal with. This is just what it is. They probably did was ask the construction guys to not turn any power tools on for as long as they were filming and then move on. So
that's actually really funny though. They could just put like a camera on the wall and literally just green screen him over it every week, so they don't have to go back up there, and they could just. It's actually quite a clever idea if you think about it. Yeah. All right, that's the first question. We've been like 10 minutes, so yeah.
17.
Thorough.
Yeah. But that was a good question. So we have a couple more questions, but I think we can get through pretty quick. Outlaw Night Zero asks, do you think they'll move back to in-person CitizenCon at some point? Maybe when they are ready to announce Squadron 42 next year. I think next year they're going to do in-person CitizenCon. The only reason why they didn't do it this year was because PES and server meshing with 318, or not server meshing with 318, but PES with 318 and server meshing in the future, and LA didn't let them. They weren't letting them do that ahead of time. So
I actually think they'll do it at LA too because of the star-studded cast. But yeah.
Well, and that's because of Squadron 42. I think it is very, very likely that we'll see something at next CitizenCon for Squadron 42. At least some sort of announcement is
I'm clipping that.
Happen. Do it. I am 100% wrong whenever I make those predictions about Squadron, because CIG is unpredictable with Squadron. But yeah, the thing is that Squadron needs at least a year of lead up.
Predicts Squadron 42.
I actually agree with him though, Space.
It's on the channel.
The timing seems right. But yeah.
I mean, it'd be great. I would love it. I do hope that they have something to say next year.
I think that the timing fits up. They also are in LA where they have access to people like Mark Hamill, Gary Oldman. They live there, so it's a lot easier for them to with their agents to get them to show up if they're not already booked for something else. Even if they're booked for something else, they can skip off for a day to show up at there, as part of a media tour. So.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear that thing that happened to Gillian Anderson recently, where someone asked her about Squadron 42 and she forgot that she was even in it?
Yeah,
Ooh.
It's been so long. It's been like 7 years. I'd forget too.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh my god.
I mean, Mark Hamill called it
about that.
Mark Hamill called it Squadron 52 or 56 or something like that, because he got so
It's been so long.
That's a good look.
54, yeah. And but yeah, that's kind of it. Do y'all think we're going to see in-person CitizenCon next year?
Yeah.
You think it's going to be LA as well?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. It'd be cool if it was in Germany, but yeah, I think it'll be in LA.
I'm predicting that we'll see Squadron 42 announced that next year's CitizenCon, and then the next year's CitizenCon after that will either be a kind of a full confirmation, or it'll be their at least their goal to release that, which is at Manchester, because Manchester is right where their main office is. It's where Squadron 42 is being made. It's a lot easier for those devs to be there. It'll be a bit more of at least in their planning, a more of a reasonable progression. But
Anno's got a good idea there. Get Henry Cavill to play it on a live stream event. That's a really good idea, actually.
That is actually a really good idea.
Yeah, that's a really, really good idea.
He'd do it.
Yeah, he would.
All right. Next question comes from Mook, who asks, AstroPub, let your inner prophet out. Concept at CitizenCon, yes or no? Yes. I think we're almost certainly going to get a concept, not a ship, at CitizenCon, because there's no big release around. We'll get the ships, or we'll get a ground vehicle and a ship at IAE, and then we'll get another concept. So, all right, and then next question comes from Mook. Any hope on an in-game event for CitizenCon? Even though they said it's going to be chill, surprise us maybe a CitizenCon stream on Microtech? No,
not with IAE having to go in the game.
That 318. Everything is hands on deck or 318. They are beyond done with that. So
they might put an event on, just like Xenothread or Ninetales or something.
Yeah,
but that'll be it.
Stay with us. Stay with us, SpaceTomato. We know you're
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I know it's late. I know it's like butt crack early in the morning over there. So
actually, is it? Oh yeah, it is. Look at that.
All right, we've got a couple more questions left. Death Trooper asks, with the recent ISC video, do you guys think it was intentional leak saying that they are almost done? Oh, the whole is with localization, that they almost done because they're doing localization. No.
Almost done with what?
With
that
Squadron.
team had been formed 6 months ago. And there's a lot of dialogue and like more than most games as well in Squadron 42. So they're also I don't know. I don't think that means they're done, but localization is traditionally a lot more further along. I even said that on my stream, but they kind of did address that and say, if you listen to the IC episode, it is still a sign that they are, let's just put it this way, rounding the corner.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of corners. I'm sorry.
Yes, there's been a lot of corners.
I feel like we rounded the corner.
It's a giant 360-sided sphere. It's made in
we're just going around a
made of corners. It's a good sign, but it's important to remember that no video game is made no video games are not made in a laboratory. There is no press form for all video games. It's just the concept of localization is something you tend to not think about until you're at the point of we got to start thinking about how to wrap this up, about getting to that point.
So all the things the things that kind of be done would be like cinematics, the audio, the dialogue, things like the maps would be locked in, things like the HUD would be locked in, any of those things. And also it depends how far they want to take it. Do they actually want to do, and I think they've got the tech to do it, so I think they actually can do the audio in the native languages, or do they just want to have subtitles? It depends how far they want to go with it, because if it's just subtitles, that's a lot easier. But knowing the tech they have with the moving of the mouth thing, if they just had the dots on the actor's face that was doing the localization, so say there's a Korean person doing it, if they had the dots on, they can take those dots and just literally put it over the top. It's very little work once you look at it, compared to a more traditional one where they would have to hand animate. So there's advantages. So I'm assuming they're going to do full localization. Sorry.
Yeah, the localization's a good sign, because it's entirely opposite of, say, something like the graphics, which is generally the very first thing that's finished in game development. I
Yes,
know
thank
because
you.
I was watching Twitter this week.
Twitter tells us this. Yes, that graphics. I was actually going to make a joke. Is that like anyone who talks about localization, I want to be like sitting there and go like look at GTA 6, the leak for GTA 6, and tell me that again. That's nothing is the first in video game development. Literally nothing. It depends entirely on the team that's doing it. And that's the reason why localization, like, it's just when it's needed. And so I could definitely see that localization is being taken a priority because CIG is like, we've got a huge overseas audience. I think the community team is currently in Seoul, South Korea. Or like they just went to Korea for a major, either there's a big event in Korea, or there's like a Bar Citizen thing going on there.
Is that considered marketing budget for them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely part of their marketing budget. I mean, the cost of doing that sort of thing.
I was actually hanging out with a Korean streamer only a couple of weeks ago, and nobody in chat really spoke English. It was kind of interesting experience.
Yeah.
But it was real, like, and I deliberately went in there because I've done it in other language too. Like I've gone into French ones and German ones, but I hadn't seen a lot of Asian, that area of the world is what I'm talking about. People, and
same.
it's really cool to see that they're taken off because that just shows how appealing this game is. It's going to transcend barriers of language and stuff.
There's as we learned from the localization ISC that the Korean community has actually been doing their own localizations for a while now. It's like
they have
their own patch versions, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Japanese community has been doing the same, and the Chinese community. I met a guy who's come to the U.S. To do touring for like schools and stuff like that, but he was a Chinese Star Citizen backer who had shown up at the Austin Bar Citizen event, the big Boston Bar Citizen event. I talked with him, hung out with him, and he actually watches the show. He's like, I really like your show, and I like it. I'm like, oh, okay,
that's cool.
Yeah. So
you don't think about it like that.
You don't. Yeah, but it's not one of those things because you're so used to seeing Americans, Australians, British, even the French and the Germans like participate in the community, but because you don't really. I don't go to that side of the community that's the non-English speaking side. I don't really get a perspective on it, but there's apparently very large sections of this community very dedicated to the game. So it makes sense that if CIG is looking at it going, we've got a huge international market, we need to start translating these things. And also the tech for the like building blocks is done.
Well, just ISC itself is something that's often translated into many different languages. Like being Australian, I get slightly different hours on Twitch, so you often get on, and the top streamers at the time are like French and German and Spanish and Portuguese, even like countries that you just wouldn't even think of, and they're watching ISC and translating it, or they're talking about ships or whatever. I've even seen them looking at other content creators' videos and translating them. So yeah, it's way bigger than we realize.
But what it does tell us, at least, is that those that they are. I think the one thing we can take away from this specifically is that their building blocks is what they're doing. They're not moving away from building blocks. That is their HUD assets from now on. Come hell or high water, they have locked that in. And everything has been moved over to building blocks. It's not going to change it again. You can click that again because I think that's what localization really means, is that they know they have this in. They're going to have to start locking that in because they have that locked in, and might as well hire some localization teams to start localizing all the text because there's no changing it from now on. So, all right. Next question comes from Chaos Qual, who asks, has anyone seen the lazy Kotaku article yet? No, because I know they wrote it back in July and they haven't changed it since.
Lazy is an understatement. Do you know what? Someone that did a really good video on it actually was Montoya. If you want a really
I love
good
his
take
video
on it. Yeah. Did you see the one? So he compared it to what was the game he compared it to? PUBG. PUBG was literally making the same amount of money CIG makes in a year. They were making in 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
Was that all of a sudden?
No,
or is that after they launched?
It's like now.
Oh, it's like right now. So they're making 2.6. This is last year. They made 2.6 billion, and the same time last year, CIG made like 8-point-something million or something. Yeah.
I got into a. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Oh, I was just gonna say I got into a little bit of a conversation with somebody about this on Reddit, the way that media covers the game, and I think they were of the mindset that people believe that if these companies are talking poorly about Star Citizen, they're unhappy about the articles. But I feel like people are missing the point that the way that these journalists cover Star Citizen is super irresponsible because they keep talking about this is what's happening, this is what's happening. It's a ton of money, it's a ton of time, there are a ton of players, money keeps coming in, and it's just confusing. Like, you're not supposed to go and read an article about something and get utterly confused, but like if you read how much they talk about the game not really making that much progress or not doing much or taking too long, and then you also read that it's making a ton of money, you're like, what is going on then? And they never answer that question in the articles. And I feel like that's the thing that they're constantly missing is like, why aren't they going at these articles from the direction that like there's a reason this is still happening?
Because they're confused. They're confused themselves.
I think it sends people to go look at Star Citizen, and that's why the number of people's gone up and up, and the money's gone up and up. And two, if you actually generally as a whole look at most journalism, if you know how social media works, they've proven that negativity actually gets more clicks. And sites like Kotaku are all about clicks. That's how they make their money. Right?
They can be negative though, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But also there's no connotations to being negative to CIG. If you are negative to EA and crap on, say, Madden, when FIFA comes around, they go like, get lost, you can't review this. But if you do it to CIG,
we'll pull our ad revenue that we're going to be advertising on your site, because those sites all get paid by the big publishers to advertise. CIG doesn't pay them to advertise. If CIG paid Kotaku to put ads on their website, Kotaku would shut the fuck up about Star Citizen tomorrow. Because
there's no connotations, because when the game actually comes out, they're going to CIG are going to need the media to help them get it out there. So there's just no repercussions.
Yeah, so CIG doesn't want to like try to burn the bridge, and neither does the media. But the people who are writing these articles, you know how many articles like an independent games journalist has to write for a site like Kotaku?
Way too many.
For a day.
What I'm looking
for a day.
That's insane.
You know what I'm looking forward to, boys, is when they all start to do the backflips.
Oh yeah, they're going to happen.
And I'll just put that out there really quietly. Our content creator friends that are going to have to do it as well.
Yes, there are plenty of content creator friends who are going to have to start going, oh, well, I was wrong. But you know what? You've already pointed that to me as well, X. What's the one thing that people like other than anger in a thumbnail?
Negativity
I was wrong.
I was wrong. Yeah. And arrows for some reason. Arrows. Yes. You do it on your thumbs a lot too. Like arrows for some reason work really well. Look at this, and they just click on it.
Yeah.
Click here.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then they complain. They're like, "This was clickbait," and you're here, aren't you? Like, and they're like, "Oh yeah, true, it worked." Yeah.
For a day, how much is that they publish is just pure garbage at that point? All of it is, because so many people are just pulling stuff. That's the reason why you'll see people pull actual hardcore reporting from one site and just repost the whole thing on their own site with just some slight changes, because they need because it counts for their days.
It is crazy though.
I was going to say, how many clicks do they get when, like you said, like Montoya's taken the Kotaku thing and he makes a video, puts his link in it, and then all the people that click on it because he's spread it. It's all about spreading. It's all about drama. The more drama they make, the more clicks they get. It's just they're playing a mental game. Don't play their game.
Before I started doing videos, I was trying to make some money writing blogs. And so I signed up with one of these gaming websites and I wrote a few articles. And like, if you search the right terms, you'll find them. And the thing is, like, they pop up all the time. I've come across my own pictures and articles while doing research for this game, like dozens of times. And I realized if these companies were putting an effort into these articles in any little bit, the best ships, the best guns, the best locations, that kind of stuff, and then also tying that into whatever negativity they want to put in there, whatever criticism they think the game needs, they get a ton of clicks still over a long amount of time.
You got to do what Paul said though. They've got 4 articles in a day. They don't have time to research. What are you talking about?
That's the ridiculous
research.
Part.
Doing my job properly.
Absurd.
And if if you're a well seasoned veteran, you can start doing less because you know you can put that effort in. But
Yeah.
like it's nuts and because they don't pay them anything. They pay them less than $15 an hour to these contractors, which is why I make the joke about them. Like Kotaku wrote an article, it took them 5 minutes to do, and he'll get enough that the writer, whoever that was, will get enough clicks so they can buy their ramen and their can of beans so they can live with the 7 other people in New York with that they need to, because these people are not. They don't care. They're just there to survive, which is why I don't shit on them for doing it. But I also am not going to click on the article because I'm
It's
not
really
just
good.
simple math.
Really good example was there was a guy, and I don't know the guy's name, so you'll have to forgive me for that, but I can go look it up if people want evidence of this. But basically, he was praising The Last of Us 2 and talking about how great it was and all that. And this is at the time when everyone was telling you how bad it was. And then literally a couple of months later, he's now he's actually working at Naughty Dog now.
Yeah.
So often it's praising, so they move upwards and onwards to bigger and better things, you know. And you see that all the time. Journalists that actually like they call it, I want to be a real journalist. They don't want to work in game journalism, but they go through game journalism to get to like the New York Times or where they actually want to work. And it's all part about playing the game. You guys know what we're talking about.
Yeah. It's and for instance, just for reference, a little peek behind the scenes, because I know Star Citizen fans like scenes. All 3 of us make content on YouTube. The minimum amount that we're supposed to make on YouTube for the algorithm to sort us is one video a week. 2 is primo. We're not supposed to make more than that unless we're doing
3.
super news. But you don't make a ton. If you see someone like Board Gamer who's doing a video, trying to get a video out every day, he's going to get a very specific type. The algorithm will sort him into a very specific type of algorithm. Which is why if you see Board Gamer try to do gameplay content, his gameplay content is going to get like 5 people, 5 people watching him. Not because Board is a bad gameplay content creator, it's just the algorithm isn't set up like that. And we are, when we say we're slaves to the algorithm, it doesn't mean that we're sitting there going, we're going to figure out what the algorithm wants us to do. And we gotta pump up those numbers, man. It's more that like, we got to figure out what we can create and how, what niche we're in and how to create that in a way that we like to. But we still got to do 1 to 3 videos a week. just to be able to stay up on that algorithm chain, to be able to even be found again for videos. So I understand that the same, like it's a grind that is not recommended for any of that sort of thing, like the video game journalism era. So again, just don't attack those authors, don't attack those writers. They're just doing a job. If you really don't like those content, that lazy journalism, just don't click the articles.
Yeah, encourage them to talk to us.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this goes out for those game journalists, because I've been reached out by game journalists before. I'm sure Execute and SpaceTomato have at least had one person reach out to them at some point in their career. We are very available to talk if you actually wanted to hear it. It's like 20 minutes max that we'll do.
I kind of don't even want to hear it though.
No.
In my experience. Actually, you know what I would recommend here, and Space, you're there too. That video Yamix did. You know the one that we were both in?
Yeah.
That was eye-opening for me. Like just hearing the responses from my peers was really awesome, and I did recommend that to.
This is a well done video.
Yeah, he did, and he is usually hypercritical on the game, and I think it was really good to see that take, and the pool of people he grabbed was from almost every extreme that you could get in this community. So I think he did a really good job. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll defend Yamix on this too, because someone says, "Oh, he just hates Star Citizen." Yamix is doing what he thinks is fun, funny, and what people click. If people hate Star Citizen, if people watch his hate Star Citizen videos, he'll make hate Star Citizen videos. If they don't, he'll stop doing it. Not because he necessarily. I mean, he might do it if he thinks if he wants to do it. But the only reason why a creator is making more videos is because they see that the audience want those videos.
Yeah, it's a Venn diagram. You have to put out content, look at your analytics, understand what YouTube is doing, who it's showing your stuff to, and then you have to try and make content for the people it's showing your stuff to. And you also have to mix that with the stuff that you enjoy. Find that center point between the two and make that stuff. It's like you were saying with the algorithm.
Yeah,
Or just be like me and not give a shit and make whatever I want.
Yeah. But I mean, like Yemix, I'm sure is a like he does it for a living and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
he's actually a really nice guy. He's actually like really level-headed to talk to. I wouldn't say he's like got any Kool-Aid swallowed or anything like that. Well, you talked to him, Space. Would you say that as well? He seemed really level-headed to me. I didn't have any. There was no huge negative vibe. He was joking with us. I was having a good time. Like there was no negative towards it. It was just like he was literally doing. It felt like a journalist. It really did. Like he felt like he was doing the truth.
I think most people would be maybe not surprised, but I think most people who are creating content are going to come off differently than how they do when they're making that content. And most of the people who are making decent content are usually decent people, at least to your face.
Well, and I'm bringing this up as to kind of tie back to that whole like journalism thing, which is just most people are doing the job. Don't click articles, no matter what. Don't click articles if you don't like the tone. If you see the title is intentionally aggravating or trying to make you angry, don't go, I want to see what they say, because that's what they want you to do. And then they can just say a bunch of boring shit that means nothing, which is they often do.
And it's right at the bottom of the article, so you spend more time there, so they get paid more money. And
because you have to scroll through all the ads.
Whatever you do, don't go in the comments.
No, because that promotes
that's
more
the
engagement.
Best place. That's the best. No, don't comment, but read the comments, because that's the best place to go, because they're hilarious.
I gotta do that myself. I gotta do a video of just me reading through comments on Star Citizen articles and see what they say.
They make me dizzy.
That'd be an awesome live. We should do that on the charity live stream.
Yeah, we could do
that. That'd be really cool. That'd be really cool.
Read what people think. All right, let's move on. We've been doing this. We're doing it for 40 minutes. And we still got a lot of again. A lot of these.
Us. It wouldn't be us if it wasn't that way, right? Let's be honest.
Well, to be fair, a lot of these are pretty simple going forward. Every so often. Like, for instance, the next one is from Chaos Qual, who asks, are we going to see any CR this year? He's not on any of the sitcom panels. I'm sure he'll stop in to say hi and bye. That's probably about it.
Yeah, he'll open the show.
Yeah. But it'll be short.
I have heard he's actually in the States at the moment.
Yeah. So. Well, he could have recorded that back when he was still in UK, because they had that studio that opened up recently, so... Gin and Tonic asks, do you think we'll see anything at all commemorate 500 million rays? No. Because in reality,
at CitizenCon maybe.
Yeah, in reality, they've raised a lot more money than that.
An in-game T-shirt.
Yeah, I paid $500 million and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
That's what it needs to be. 100%. That's it. That's it. CIG should be able to laugh at himself there. That's a really good one. I like that. Yeah,
I would love to see CIG take the piss out of themselves more often. Yeah. They don't. So
yeah. I think once they start having the success to back them up, they'll be more comfortable doing that.
My favorite thing is to add an animation where you can pet your ship, so you can make the joke. You know, can you pet the dog in? You know, no, you can't pet the dog in Star Citizen, but you can pet your ship.
The one I suggested was an emote that does like you take your helmet off and it flips it and puts it back on. You know, from the helmet thing. Yeah,
but it's like reversed. So you're the back of the helmet instead of the front of the helmet.
And then they go. Oh, my camera's frozen.
Yep.
Oh, I thought you were doing
I thought you were doing a bit.
Yeah, I was, but the camera just happened to stop right there. So yeah.
Let's move on. Timing. Resource management. Zal the robot asks, is resource management? That means you can divert extra power from your power supply into repeater capacitors for getting extra ammo. That's an example.
We don't know the specifics if it's going to be extra ammo, but yeah, it's all about diverting power, diverting heat, fuel, probably oxygen, gravity. Don't know if I missed anything, but like just diverting all those different resources around your ship.
Using fuel to turn on your power plant instead of having it just turn on. They showed that off. Being able to, the piping, so like this node gets knocked out. Now suddenly you have to reroute power through another node to get to the locations and that sort of thing. So
yeah.
Doesn't want to turn off. I've actually turned the power off and it's still on. It's defying the laws of physics.
Let me turn it off and turn it back on again. Maybe that'll help.
No, it's not going to do anything on your end. I've got
Blowing
to
it
do it on my end.
Yeah, blowing it.
Blowing it.
Yeah, tap it and blowing it. Yeah. All right, next question comes from Ionic Echo. This is a long one. Who asks, with there being a generally whelmed outlook towards 318 and its features, do you think people might be underestimating the potential performance gains to be had for servers with PES implementation? If PES is bringing us to parity with what was developed so far, don't you think the current system running more optimally would be a massive change from things like inventory loading to NPC behavior, assuming that bugs are ironed out and tech is stable? Basically, why are people upset about this? Wouldn't just having a better performance with the current stuff be better? And the answer is yes, but we don't know if that's the case or not.
Yeah.
That's the problem. In theory, we should have, if we just got 317.2 with new tech, we would have a much better performance. I mean, just Gen 12 alone should cause people's performance to just go up. But there we go.
Sorry, that was way more difficult. That new method didn't work as well as I thought it would
be. But yeah, that's the thing, is that we have to kind of wait and see is the issue. I would say embrace the whelmed status and just be happy that it's going to improve over time. But
yeah,
what do you think, SpaceTomato?
So the question was basically, why are people not happy that we're getting PES just kind of overlaying what we already have?
Yeah, basically, why shouldn't people be excited about getting more like better performance? Shouldn't we be getting better performance if they just took all the stuff we have now and just replaced it with the new tech?
I think it's just a product of expectations. People were expecting a little bit more, especially with the matchmaking. They're expecting to have a real tangible difference, and I do think it's bringing a tangible difference. I think people are actually kind of underselling it just because we got a bit of a disappointment there. I think people are forgetting that the persistence this adds to the little things like wear and tear are going to be definitely fleshing out the game experience. But yeah, I think it's a combination of us not really knowing if it's actually going to run any better because of it, or if it's just going to break stuff and run worse. And because our expectations were higher than the results we're getting.
Mm-hmm. And I'd also say it's a consistent issue with CIG. I don't think it's even CIG community team. I think it's just the management refusing to give timely updates to report, or being either because they're too scared, or because they're just didn't think about it. Just didn't think about it. It wasn't a priority.
A simpler way to look at it is, as bugs are fixed, as time passes, like if you look at what we've had already, performance just keeps improving, and it'll just continue. That's the easiest way to look at it.
Yeah. I think people are just reasonably, including myself, being reasonably protective at this point, going, okay, so the one thing we thought was going to happen is not going to happen. It's time to rein in those expectations, because we haven't heard anything about the CIG keeps renaming the thing, so I can't remember all of them all the time.
Just call it the thing that does the thing.
The cargo refactor, right?
Yeah.
Like I've got this thinking feeling that they said, oh yeah, but cargo refactor is necessary for salvage, but then they won't tell us anything else. So it's like, oh, so they completely did the cargo refactor for salvage, but not for the commodities, which people were expecting for. Or not for this, not a full implementation of the cargo refactor, but a piecemeal implementation of the cargo refactor, just like PES, which is,
I think it was removed from the release view too. I'll have to go double check that, but I remember seeing it was noticeably absent.
As far as I'm concerned, the cargo refactor is literally just physicalizing the boxes. I don't expect anything other than that.
Yes, but I also don't think they're going to physicalize all the boxes. I think it'll be for salvage and maybe one or two other things. That's my expectations.
God,
until they can tell us otherwise. That's what I'm.
Don't even plant that seed in my little head. Can only take so much.
It's just it's that kind of thing where CIG just refuses to set those proper expectations, and I think that's really where it comes from. Is where CIG doesn't try to get ahead of themselves with it. That's it.
They did also say that they were holding off on the ISC episode for the cargo refactor because they wanted to get more footage. Right? How much footage could they have if it was just that simple application?
All they've got to do is show a ship being blown up and someone picking up the cargo and putting it in their own ship, and they're done.
Right.
You know?
So
that's all we want to see.
And they're saying that they have footage for it, but they want to get more. So like that's what I'm saying is how much different footage could they get if they were just changing it for like the salvage cargo and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I'll take back what I said, by the way, too. It is on the roadmap, but it's currently slated as tentative.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh my gosh, what song is this?
It's the Call to Prayer. This is very, very late.
I mean, during Ramadan, it would be around this time, be in a couple hours.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to the next question. Chaos Squall asks, do you think they will show any sitcon? Show any Squadron 42 at sitcon this year? No. Chris Roberts said no. So no.
No.
What do you think, Tomato? No. Yeah.
Too early.
Maybe a trailer, maybe one of those visual teasers like they did 2 years ago.
Yeah, maybe. I'd love to see that, but I don't think we're going to get it at SitCon because Chris Roberts in that article basically said it's the first time I've ever heard him say we're not doing this.
Oh, okay.
Like straight up, don't expect CitizenCon, the Squadron 42 at CitizenCon. It was like, all right, very simple, very plain. Done.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Pace Cape asks, is the latest Inside Star Citizen localization/language translation as such an indication that Squadron 42 is coming close to being complete? I'm just curious what you think because I feel like that should be a thing that happens at the end of game development. I think we already answered that question.
Yeah, we did.
So I think that's the second question that was asked. So Gin and Tonic asks, do you think 2953 CitizenCon will be in LA? Or do you think they'll move it to Manchester since that seems to be becoming CIG's home? LA. I don't think
the free marketing cannot be understated. Yeah. Like what do they call that? Entertainment Tonight will turn up just because there's a whole bunch of stars there. All these different red carpet. Like it's free advertising, and it goes beyond just us. Like you get all these normie advertisings. Go, hey, play this game that's got 30 plus celebrities in it, etc. It's just good.
Yeah, make like a spaceship fly overhead.
If you had Henry if you had Henry Cavill show up and do a demonstration of Squadron 42, the intro level of Squadron 42 on stream or like on stream, but like on stage, you would instantly be the top viewed news in gaming around the world in less than a day. Because it involves celebrities, which is a pretty big one. Henry Cavill, who's already a pretty big celebrity, and gaming, and you're adding all three of those together to like a big presentation.
And Henry's a gaming celeb too.
He's a gaming
gamers love him.
He
only gets beat by Keanu.
He's a PC gamer and he's a model mate. He's a Warhammer 40K player. So it's like Painter and Miller. So he hits all of the gaming community, like every part of the gaming community that exists. So
yeah.
All right. Next question comes from Anno2122 who asks, did the CIG get better with the fear of missing out, FOMO? No.
No, I think they still use that quite constructively as a tool.
Yeah.
Look at how I think the recent one I'll give you is the Centurion. They chucked in Jumptown and made it like the best vehicle for Jumptown you could possibly have.
Especially
as
the
a
A2.
defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Well, the A2, yeah.
Well, against the A2, it's the Centurion is the best best defense against the A2.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you think?
No, agreed. I mean, you can still see the same sales tactics, the same things. They're doing the same stuff with buyback tokens and LTI and limited ship sales. It's still pretty FOMO. I mean, I don't want to say it's better. They've gotten better at some things. I don't think FOMO is really one of them.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Just in general. And I think it's going to eventually bite them in the butt. That eventually people will just stop paying attention to them because they also go back on their FOMO all the time. Oh, this is the only time you can purchase it. 2 years later, you can buy it again. Like the exact same thing.
we did, like, when we interviewed Sandra, we did actually bring up some of those things to her, like what Warbond CCs were doing to the game and stuff like that. She was completely unaware. When we turned her, like, you should have seen the expression on her face when we told her that someone got a carrot for $95. She was like, "What?" Yeah.
They're like in the same way that they're dropping the keynote at CitizenCon, which is kind of like better for the state that the game is in now. They really need to take another look at the stuff that they've been doing for years in terms of sales and stuff, and like clean it up a little for where they are now as they get into the marketing phase and like they have an actual game to show and a lot more eyes are going to be on this. I think they should start to really try and clean up their image when it comes to that stuff.
The only thing worse than the game itself, the bugs in the game itself, is just the website.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Yeah. Remember, me and you talked about that the other week. Me and Space did a video on new player experience, and it's just a freaking nightmare.
It's so terrible.
So there was a guy I ran into, and it took him over a week to work out how to buy a ship. It took him 45 minutes to get out of the room that he was in. When you spawn in the room, because he didn't know how to, like, it didn't tell him how to use F or anything like that.
That's a crazy one.
It took him 2.5 hours to get to his ship.
Why is he playing
MicroTech? and then it took him like another half an hour to figure out how to turn it on. All this stuff. Like, it's just like, I was like, what the hell?
I would have drop kicked my computer by then.
Yeah,
that's no way I would have kept playing.
It's surprising how many people, like, with all of the things that CIG actively does to discourage players playing this game, they, including sometimes just telling people not to play the game, that how many people buy and play the game as frequently as they do. And I think that scared CIG as well, which is why we start seeing those. Like, suddenly they're like, new player experience. We need to start doing that now because we have too many people.
If this game was available through Steam, holy crap.
Yeah.
Probably would have been removed from the store at this point.
Well, I mean, if you could just buy the game on Steam, I think this game would also be
ease of access.
Wow. It would make it so much. They'd be making more money. They'd make more money.
Lose so much. They'd actually lose money though, because they have to give 33% to Valve.
That's
but the numbers
Valve's take is too high.
But the numbers that they'd be getting is much higher than they currently are getting. But we're also at a stage where they're growing a little bit better. So.
Maybe Valve needs to go to them and say, "Hey, look, we'll do 10%," and then and then they'll probably take them up.
I mean, even putting on the Epic store, because Epic usually gives a really good deal for them, or the people. What are the people who do good old games? You know, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, like good old games. Yeah.
All right, we've got 10 questions left. And they're all, I'm going to reject one of them because it's nice, but you know, it's kind of, it's not needed. And we'll get through them pretty quickly. Gin and Tonic asks, pretty well established we're getting the Vulture and Corsair at IAE. Do you think we'll get the SRV too? No.
Yeah, we did talk about that, didn't we? I think that'll be the next patch after.
Yeah. It's because it needs to have they're not going to release it without the ability to haul ships with the SRV.
Yet another feature that's looking like it's coming next year.
Yeah.
I don't understand how this is all. It's like not. It can't happen. We can't.
I do think it'll add a lot though. That ship. I do think the SRV will actually add more than we realize.
That's going to add so much sandbox gameplay.
Well, even just the ability to, like, you know, pick up vehicles and move them to other spots. It's going to speed up a lot of things.
With the way that they talk about it, it's like the tractor beam is based on anything interactive in the game can be using the tractor beam. So like the cargo, when they physicalize it, other people, other ships, derelict ships, mineable asteroids, all that stuff's going to be movable by the SRV. People are going to be able to do crazy stuff in combination with the other ships they're using.
Yeah. I'm just, that's it. I don't know what to say anymore. Axis.
I'll just add that they did do a sneak peek of it this week. So the internals are looking done. The externals looking done. It does look further along than I expected it to be at this stage.
That's
realistically,
it's an Argo MPUV with a giant laser attached to it. That's all it is. It's the same thing.
Yeah, realistically, as Space said, the holdup is actually the gameplay. It's not the art, it's the gameplay.
Similar question, Kraken. Will we see the Kraken anytime soon?
Do you know who said that we reckon, like, I was talking on the Law podcast yesterday. I'm going to actually come out and say it was actually Board Gamer that reckons it's coming next year. And I was like, hell to the no.
No.
So he reckons it's coming because they need more pirate ships in Pyro, and that will be the Idris version of the Pyro's version of the Idris. Yeah. And I just don't see it, considering we haven't seen any concept images or anything to update it. That whole model's kit bashed.
I could see it as the similar way as the Idris, where like you can't get into it, you can't fly it, there's no internals, it's just the externals, and it comes in as an NPC asset. I could see that, but not in any way, shape, or form beyond that. So
I could see us getting more news about it next year.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, they got to get the Bennu Merchantman out of the way, because that's got to get done. And, then you've got
the next on the roadmap.
Perseus.
Yeah. It's too far away. So, like you said, Paul, it would be like an unskinned Idris type of thing.
Yeah.
That's the only way I'll ever see it in game. It won't, like, as a playable vehicle for us. No.
All right. Next question comes from Monstravi, who asks, with the wording of master modes defining ship roles, do you think it is more stations to make different crew roles requirements to the ships themselves being spec'd different within a class, or something else? So I'll read the full thing, which is the need for, no, what is it? It's the power play. Was that it? No. No, it's the need for multiple speeds. We all know how speed impacts combat. Now learn how master modes, initially developed for Squad 42, will impact the flight experience of the persistent universe, and better define ship roles for all vehicles in Star Citizen. I think that does imply multi-crew.
Yeah, I don't know. It's for all vehicles, so yes. Single seaters and bigger ships as well.
The question is, do you think it's going to be like crew roles requirements? And I think possibly, but it's not just that.
I think it's modes, kind of like how we had cruise mode before SCM speed. I think they'll try to figure out how to. It sounds like they want us to be able to get around faster.
Yeah,
mining mode, scanning mode. I
think it's a combination of those two. I think it's a combination of those two.
I think you'll just change your ships to different modes, essentially, to do different things.
You want to go fast in straight line, you go in the fast straight line mode. You want to be in the maneuvering dogfight mode, you go to maneuvering dogfight mode, that kind of thing.
What did they call didn't they have a word for the different modes when they introduced missile operator mode? They started to talk about how they would have the different versions of each HUD and stuff. Was that? Yeah.
It was just
did that have a name to it? Yeah.
They called them operator modes. That's all they were.
And
I think the same thing, but for flight.
Yeah. It's pretty obvious your ship will just have the modes that are needed for it. Yeah. So if you don't have a mining ship, you won't have mining mode. And I also think that they could possibly, like what you're hinting at, Space, is that could be also tied to MFDs. So you can go into an MFD, and there is if you're in a mining ship, you click the mining MFD, and it opens up that one on your screen. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I think the implication is that it's speed and variable speed is more than anything. Being able to travel faster, because they know, as Tomato will tell you, and as Execute will tell you, Pyro is 3 times the size of Stanton, and it's not
Pyro
even
big.
It's not even big in comparison to the other systems out there.
Yeah.
Like Sol is in game is 5.1 AU, which means it's bigger than Pyro, which means it's something like almost 5 times the size of Stanton alone.
You got to also put in other things too. Like a lot of people say, well, why does that matter? One of the things I was talking with someone just last evening actually is right now everyone runs around in the military A drives because they just get you there so quickly. You won't be able to do that because the ship just won't have the fuel to get there. And and things like civilian A's and industry A's will become the more standard, because you'll need the fuel consumption to be able to make that jump from one side to the other. Otherwise, you're going to be stopping all the time, so it's going to become a lot more balanced, where you're not going to be just trying to get there as fast as possible. You're going to be trying to get there economically as possible, and it's going to get even worse when prices of fuel come into the game, because right now they're all dirt cheap.
Yeah. And so like they're going to have to find a way of going faster. And Tree, Sol is 51 AU. Yes, but in game, Sol is 55.1 AU. Effectively, 1 AU in Star Citizen is 0.1 AU, or 1 AU in Star Citizen is 0.1 AU. And no, it's the reverse. 1 AU in reality, which is the distance between the sun and the Earth, is 0.1 in Star Citizen. That's the scale.
Wasn't the scale the space was a tenth and the planets were a quarter? That's what I remember it being.
Yes.
Planets are a sixth, I believe, and moons are a quarter.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Sorry. Thank you for the correction.
So, yeah. So like Sol's going to be scaled. Like it's not going to be 51 AU. All right. Next question comes from Ionic Gecko, who asks, do you think the new UGFs will have drivable vehicle entrances or landing pads for ships?
What was that? UDFs?
UGFs, underground facilities, bunkers.
I would hope so.
That'd actually be really cool.
I could see a landing, like you have to land on the bunker because the bunker's like on the edge of a cliff or something like that.
Oh, God, that'd be so cool.
But even driving down, they've talked about drivable caves. You've got to I'm surprised that this hasn't come up before, but they obviously are going to cross the underground tech between caves and bunkers at some point, right? That's got to be a thing. They're both underground. It makes logical sense. Maybe you get into the bunker by going back through some secret cave that no one ever knew about, or whatever.
Yeah, I bet they use Houdini for both now, right? With the Mighty Bridge tool.
Yep. So, combining that with vehicle gameplay, like driving in and out of a cave or going down a lift in a vehicle, I can so see that as a thing. 100%. Eventually, will we get it soon? I don't think so, but eventually, yes, I would hope to think so.
I think the UGFs we're going to be getting now are just more varieties. I'm sure they'll have like UGFs that'll break off into caves, so you can like if a section is open, you can go into this cave and go explore a little bit more. That's what it is. It's just more variety.
Well, I think the first set was really just done for Hurston, so you'll probably see a bit more colors too. So they'll like have some blue ones from Microtech and stuff like that.
Yeah, some changes.
As long as it's not just the same old take a long elevator down, need some diversity in both the area and also the entrances.
Space, what I'm really looking forward to though is the Crusader bunkers. I really want to know how they're going to pull those off. I'm really looking forward to going to Cloud9. Yeah.
They'll probably use they'll probably use more of those platforms. Mm-hmm. And ArcCorp, they'll use building interiors, and then the other moons will have bunkers.
You gotta reset your camera. Oh, there we go. Fix the camera.
Yeah, I turned it on, but it didn't kick. It's struggling a lot today, so I do apologize.
All right, we only got a handful of these left. First, the next question is from Monster Avi, who asks, where do you guys see them pricing the medium to large salvage ships, and what kind of crew do you think?
I can't answer that. I don't know anything about prices for ships.
I'm
not good at that.
Yeah. So really simple. You just kind of use the two we have. So you got a vulture at 1 person, and you got a reclaimer at 5 to 8. So you'd have to expect it somewhere in the middle between that. So say 2 to 4 would be my guess. You've got a vulture at $150, and you've got a reclaimer at $400. So you would have to say, let's say, what, $250 to $350 in that ballpark. That would be my expectation.
Yeah, sounds about right. All right, next question comes from Gin and Tonic. Do you think the vote during the ship panel is actually going to mean anything? We've gotten all of the ships they've ever put up in for a vote, and the Expanse won its vote and was the last in that group we got.
Yeah, that's why it was last, because it was the most popular.
Yeah,
that's that. If you haven't figured that out, that is a marketing tool.
Yeah,
Paul's a marketing person. He'll tell you what that is. Paul, you're better than I. Tell him.
So basically, we do polls all the time, and other. It's been a while since I've done this, but panels and other things like that. We'll pull people in and ask questions, a specific set of questions. Those questions aren't
Ship Showdown. Yeah, that's a good example.
Yeah. Those questions aren't necessarily answered or asked because we want to know the answers to them. We just want to know how you answer them. Because if you answer them in a certain way or in a certain direction, that will tell us what we need to look at. So here's an example. Asking, what do you find most important in a ship in Star Citizen? I don't care what your actual answer is. I just care what your order of the answers are. Because that tells me what answer, not like what you think is the most important, but it tells me what you're thinking about when it comes to Star Citizen ships. And I can tell you like this, I can pull from that, use other data to say, okay, so these are what the players care about. These are what the players are using. This is what the players, these are the ships you need to do next, because you can just pull that research together. But you got to do multiple different ways. And so it's just a simple, easy marketing tool.
And that's how you get ships like the Ares.
Yeah.
Crusader was flavor of the month. The MSR sold out like hotcakes. People were loving the Hercules. All right, so we need a Crusader ship. What's the ship everyone's asking about? Oh, they're all asking for a capital ship killer. Bang, and we get the Ares. That's a pinnacle of data just being put together to sell ships.
So the answer is no. Your vote doesn't matter for the stars for the ship panel. Not at all. All of those ships, but it's a good way of CIG also sneakily going, this is what the ships we're making, without being overt about it. They're gonna make those ships.
And it shows them how to price them too and stuff like that. So
scale them too, because like obviously the Odyssey was or the Expanse was important, so they decided they're going to scale it to a point where more people would have access to it, a medium large ship rather than a huge ship. So, all right. Sli-Fi asks, what ship will you take in the first trip to Pyro? Probably my Freelancer, because it's got a lot of fuel. What do you think, X? First ship to Pyro.
It'd either be Carrack or MSR, I think, for me.
Okay. I didn't think about the Corsair's gonna be out by then. I'd definitely be my Corsair.
That could be there as well. Yeah.
SpaceTomato?
Terrapin or MSR.
Terrapin or MSR. Good choices.
Something with range, I think, is how I'd kind of answer that. So,
and anyone who's going to be going to that system for the first time is going to want to have something that can travel the jump point and go very far without a refuel. And all of those are good answers. So, all right. Chaos Qual asks, question, will they localize all the lore on the website? No. And here's why. They're going to put all of that stuff that's on the website into the game. And so when it goes into the game, it'll get localized by the localization team. But there's no point in localizing it on the website when it's just going to end up in game.
Jeez, I just realized, if they actually did localize the website, how much more would they sell?
Probably more.
That's crazy. I didn't even think of that.
They got to fix the website first, so it doesn't suck.
Gotta need a website first.
Yeah. But I'll do this in the after the fact. But right above the execute's head will be a link right there, because we actually talked with myself, Al Garrett, and Jail sat down and talked with Dave Haddock, the narrative director, and we learned a lot about like their plans for lore. And the answer is that they want to get everything that's in the like Galactopedia right now in game. So there's not a lot of point to doing anything on the website currently that's just going to end up in the game and get localized. So it's not double. They don't want to do double duty. So, because you're also going to have to get somebody who knows the language to input that into the website, and just wait until it gets localized. Basically it, until it goes to the website. Last two questions. Engineer Barkaru asks, what types of ships would you want in the ship poll?
Probably a deep space probing ship.
Okay. Execute.
I just want that clip. SpaceTomato wants deep space probing. All right, okay.
Hell yeah. Croshaw me, baby.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it a thing.
Yeah, I just think more gameplay. Like I think that's kind of been really evident from the votes. The ships like the Expanse that added new gameplay, they really did rise to the top. So I think it will be the same thing again. So, you know, medical, salvage, repair, science, all that type of thing. There's so many more professions there to hit on. But the ships that they probably come up in that vote will actually, that it might be a bit of a tip of the hat to what they're actually planning gameplay wise too. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I'm going to say something that's different and weird, and it's going to sound like a joke, but it's not. I want the Cutlass purple.
Food truck?
I mean, food truck.
Yeah.
I want the Banu.
Doesn't that mean the Cutlass brown?
I want the Banu merchantman, but in large, medium, and small. Yeah. I don't want. We need that gameplay loop in the smaller sizes, and so a Cutlass that is reconfigurable as a bar or as a shop is a perfect example of that kind of gameplay. So,
I'd agree. I do think that's. So I have to kind of think about that, Paul, because when they initially had the Banu merchantman in, it's just going to be a cargo ship. Yeah. So I don't think you'll see that smaller ship where it's just a shop until that gameplay is in. So I think sadly, I'm not trying to burst your bubble, but I think that's further down the road, mate.
We'll see. I mean, yeah, but I mean, like, how long did it take for the what was it, for the Expanse to get sold after it was already on the poll? 2 years.
Yeah, that's true. It could definitely be a concept, 100%.
Yeah. And it was sold as a concept, and it's still not going to be coming out for another 2 years. The Expanse. Yep. So, and I'm sorry if that's someone just got angry because I told them that their refining ship isn't going to come until the refining gameplay is in, which is nowhere near sight.
I thought it was planned for next year.
I know what it is, Paul. It's the Cutlass Taco.
Cutlass Taco. The Cutlass puke green,
and you can put like little, how when you get the pizzas delivered, they have the little pizza on top of the car, but it's on top of it. But it's, the turret is changed to whatever you're selling on top.
All right, last two questions. Diffles asks, will we ever see the Titan exosuit in game, especially since it was originally meant for industrial purposes? Execute has an interesting answer for this one. I don't know if he wants to talk about it or not.
So basically, the last thing I kind of heard is that the only Titan suit in game at the moment is a boss in Squadron 42. But I do think that means down the road that they will. If you actually go back and look at some of the older Caterpillar videos, back when Algar and I were looking at them, they were calling them exosuits, and they were talking about all the different exosuits they wanted to have, like they wanted repair ones, medical ones, industrial ones, and combat. And as I said to Paul, I think they missed a real opportunity in calling the Ballista and the Spartan the Atlas platform. They should have called the Titan suits literally Titans. So, you've got things like Gaia, that's like a, Mother Nature. She would have been a really good medical Titan suit, and Ares is an obvious one for the, the god of war and stuff like that. So
Execute. CIG's bad at names. They're going to name a Titan the Atlas.
CIG naming.
So when you say like a Titan suit, the Titan, the Atlas Titan, which is a loader Titan, people would be like, wait, you mean the Atlas chassis? Yeah, the Atlas chassis. No. I mean like the Anvil Atlas chassis. No. This is the Grey Cat Atlas.
No, it's the Liberator Titan, Paul. The Liberator Titan.
The Grey Cat. The Grey Cat Titan. The Grey Cat Titan Atlas with Liberator skin.
Why do they do this?
That's it.
Why do they make life so difficult?
All right.
But yeah, really good opportunity there, and I think they have to retroactively go back and fix that because it just makes so much sense to call Titan suits after Titans. It's just like a no-brainer.
I think we'll see it. I think we'll see more Titans just because CIG wants to have something like, they said they want to have like 100 ground vehicles in the game. Like a Titan suit's a ground vehicle. Yeah, it's armor, but it's that hybrid between armor and like vehicle. So easy fix. Just slap the same thing on and then just remove the arms or change things around.
So some Diffles in chat just said EA would be coming after FC if they named the suits Titans because of Titanfall. I don't think they would, because they didn't actually, in Titanfall, they didn't actually, what is there? I think there is one called an Atlas, but they're not actually, there's no actual, other than Atlas, I can't think of any other ones that are actually named after Titans in Titanfall.
And on top of that, I don't think they have the copyright to Atlas Titan, because I'm sure that
Well-
exists in common, like.
Well, yeah,
All
Greek
of
names
those.
are pretty much common knowledge at this point.
Yeah.
So
I don't think there's. I don't think they
Pretty
have
popular.
the IP on that. I don't think they have the trademark on Atlas Titan. So. What do you think? Space? Do you think we're going to see more Titans in the future? More than just a combat version? And in the game?
If not more Titans, then definitely like a way to switch out what they're using, whether it's weapons or like utility arms or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll at the very least get something akin to like small, medium, and large. You know, so like one that's like a frame, one that's like really fully heavily armored and stuff like that. So it could essentially just be the same thing but different levels of armor and different items. So yeah, it could just be a one-off, but I just don't see them doing that because of the once they start selling those things will just sell really, really well. Like especially from a fundraising perspective. My camera is dying.
We got one more question left, so just got to limp
Yeah.
through it. Death Trooper asks, do you think they need to change the website naming players? Naming players don't find the game and get confused.
Oh, this is all execute.
So me and Space did talk about this too, and
But
it's like,
RobertSpaceIndustries.com.
why isn't that they don't own? Why wasn't it just like they got squadron42.com as a redirect to RSI.com? It's just StarCitizen.com and redirect it to. It's like with the way things are that someone brought that domain. It's not actually an active domain. Like it's active, but it's like, do you want to purchase it? So with the laws that happen in the States, they could claim that and have it in a very short period of time. I just don't understand why someone hasn't made that a priority because so many people would be going to StarCitizen.com. And as I said, that guy took 3 days to find the website.
That because Star Citizen it was copyrighted. I just pulled it up. It's actually sales at starcitizen.com, and it says copyright 2007 to 2002, starcitizen.com, all right reserved.
That might be why they can't get access to it then.
Because it was owned by somebody else.
Yeah.
So.
And they obviously want way too much money for it because they know how big Star Citizen's got.
Yes. There's no Star Citizen.net though. Yeah.
I remember someone trying to ask me for a domain name way back when, and it was like a hyphenated domain, and they wanted $600, and I just laughed in their face.
They should just do a GG.
Yeah.
StarCitizen.gg, sc.gg.
Or just
nobody searches for that.
StarCitizen.sc. Yeah.
That's the problem. Is nobody searches for that stuff.
Yeah. The reality is that I know the story behind it, which is Chris Roberts was really like the marketing campaign for what was the Aliens prequel?
Prometheus.
And they did that where they like the website for Prometheus was not Prometheus.com. It was WaylandYutani.com. And they had this whole sort of ARG aspect to it, and people really liked it. The problem that Chris, I don't think, understood was that happened because really worked really well because there was an existing Aliens lore that people knew what WaylandYutani is. Nobody knows what Robert Space Industries is.
Yeah. That said though, like I just Google Star Citizen and it Robert Space Industries is the first thing that comes up. But then a new person was like, what is this?
Yeah.
So they might scroll down and just totally miss it because it's like, that's got nothing to do with what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Because we all know gamers don't read, right?
Yeah, that's a gamers don't read. Apparently I offended Noobifire when I said that. I'm not sorry. Gamers don't read noob.
I mean, we got away from text-based games for a reason. Come on now.
Yeah. It's like gamers don't look up, gamers don't read. Those are two facts of life. If you don't like it, I don't know, cry about it. It's one thing gamers are really good at anyways, crying about something. But no, I just don't think they're going to be able. I think it would go a long way for them to fix the website is the biggest issue. The name isn't as bad as just the website. Fixing the website to be more navigable and more friendly to new players, which will unfortunately mean getting rid of all of their BS with like melting, rebuying, LTI chains. All of those things have to go because it becomes too complex. You have to create a completely different site at that point. So
Yeah. Yeah, we've done. I think we've lost the count on the number of videos we've combined done on this at this point.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it because Execute's camera has given up the ghost.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It really has.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining, and thank you so much for SpaceTomato and Execute for joining us at the wonky hours of ungodly early in the morning for both of them on separate days. Ungodly early in the morning on Sunday for both of you. It's ungodly early in the morning for Sunday. It just Executes ahead by a couple hours.
Just a crazy. It's like we started when it was late at night here, early in the morning over there, middle of the afternoon where you are, Paul, right?
Yeah. And now it's morning for both of you.
It's almost 9 a.m. for me. But I had to get up at like 5:30 to do this.
Almost 2 over here.
So thank you all for joining us. Make sure you're going to youtube.com/theinforunners and youtube.com/SpaceTomato and youtube.com/SpaceTomato2 TOO SpaceTomato TOO SpaceTomato as well. Remember, get crowshot.
Do it.
Get crowshot. That's a t-shirt. Get crowshot.
His third channel. He's already reserved his third channel name. It's SpaceTomato Toes. That's his third one.
It's my OnlyFans, man.
That's OnlyFans.
Oh dear.
And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.